Alright, everyone. If you have not yet heard the news, our masterclass session with Grandmaster Elshan Moradiabadi is going to start next week with masterclasses for 1600 plus Thursdays and future masterclass 1200 plus Sundays. I'm really excited for this masterclass session to start, but first, let us hear from the man who's behind these classes, who'll be teaching those classes. I'll bring him onto the stage right now. So everyone, please welcome Grandmaster Elshan. Elshan, how are you doing today?
Yeah, Alan, good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm alright.
I'm thrilled to be here. I see that you have a hat like mine, similar. Yeah, and I'm glad to see you after U.S. amateur team, and I'm excited to start the classes. I will start this Thursday and also Sunday. I will go for 10 weeks, and I'm thrilled to see the kids and all the participants in the classes, and I'm here with you. Happy to join.
Alright, so we will definitely get on to USAID later, but first, let us get right into it. Let's start with the intro. So let me ask you, how did you first get interested in the game, and what motivated you to pursue chess professionally?
Well, so I learned chess in 1992. I learned the moves. That at the time I was 7 years old. Quite late with today's standard, if you think about it. I mean, nowadays kids learn chess quite early, and it was relatively late to start learning chess. But okay, at the time things were a little bit different, and it was only 4 years after chess the ban on chess was lifted in Iran, and the people could play chess again. Iran had a chess federation. It's back in Iran where I was born and raised. So it was a different times. There was some very little material, coaching almost non-existent, and there was one coaching session once a week for 2 hours that we had to drive for over an hour 20 to get there for that. So that was it. That's how I began.
Alright, and then when I was looking you up and when I went to your webinar on Wednesday, which you did with your school, I noticed that you actually pursued an MA in statistics and were encouraged by lots of friends, we spoke about this before, to go into quantitative roles. What drew you back into playing and coaching chess full time?
Well, that's an interesting question. Yes, I actually went. So I was never a professional player, Alan. So I went to the best engineering college in Iran. It's called Sharif University of Technology. A lot of my classmates there graduate. They come to the United States or Canada, pursue graduate school, master's degree, PhDs, and then go into different professions quite successfully. Most of them. And that was the initial plan when I moved to the United States for me to get my PhD and actually go down that road, probably academia at the time I was thinking. Um, I think I just love chess a lot, and I love teaching, and I love to share my experience because one of the things in my life that I always had, excuse me, problem with was finding proper mentorship. Right, Alan? I mean, we all want to have that one person who tells us not what to do, but how certain things are done, and what
Yeah.
if you do, if you pay attention to phenomena A and you do act B, it leads to C, and that's what we want to. Sometimes we want to have these kind of shared experiences with us in a more in-depth way, and those are things I really missed in my own life and career as a both chess player or in a school. So when I were to decide on something, the meaning behind my work, that's why I love this job, is that I know it in and out, the way I describe things, or at least I believe so. So, and I enjoy sharing that experience with others. And when people come and ask me questions, I feel it empowers me. I feel makes me feel good, and I feel that I'm returning to them. I get back to them. I share my knowledge and information and everything I know about the game, and it makes them feel good. It makes me feel satisfied.
Yeah, so this is actually a perfect segue into my next question, which is how long have you been coaching and what are your biggest joys to see as a coach?
Well, that's an easy one. So I started coaching 2004. I was 19 at the time. But it was on and off. Like it wasn't exactly a lot of coaching because you see, I would distinguish between coaching and teaching chess. Sometimes you just teach chess. What do you think, Alan? What do you think between teaching and coaching? What's the difference?
Mm. So
What,
I
that's
think
an important,
so I think
important
one
question.
of the two. So I think coaching is probably just lecturing and just trying to convey information, while teaching is more of like trying to make sure the student understands. It's more interactive to convey a message.
I was thinking it's other way around because when you coach
Mm.
someone, you try to make them understand. You
Right.
try to teach them how to
Yeah.
fish on their own. And teaching is more curriculum based. And I mean, you still probably follow a certain curriculum for both of them. But I think in coaching, you are trying to make the person do the job on their own volition. Whereas in teaching, like in school and everywhere else, is that you walk them from point A to point B. You show them how the walk is done, and they get to the point B with more information accumulated in a form of knowledge, hopefully, in their mind. So I've been teaching chess since 2004. I've been coaching since 2009. Because that's when
Mm.
I was coaching people to go to tournaments, play tournaments. So their emotions, their feelings, their diet, everything that goes into a tournament became a subject matter as we were training as well and learning things on the 64 squares board. So yeah, 2009 is the beginning of my coaching career, and I've been teaching chess since 2004.
Hmm.
That is the background. And then what was the follow up to the question? Sorry, the end of it, you were asking what uh,
So what are your biggest joys as a coach?
to know that what I'm doing is right for that person, because I thoroughly believe when I wouldn't say anything until I'm sure about it.
Hmm.
Uh, so when I go, for instance, when I go to the classroom and I share something, if I don't know, I just tell them I'll get back to you. So when I share something, when I say something, I am so um, I have this affirmation in my mind that I have this confirmation of my own understanding of the game, that from from where I'm standing, I'm looking at it, it looks like this. So that feeling that I am actually, and I'm that sure of myself that I am sharing this with someone, and I'm helping them to move forward with their chess career and with their chess pursuits. It makes me feel good. It's a great satisfaction for me.
Yeah. For me, even though I'm much younger, much less experienced, and I coach beginners, I try to do a similar approach in that when I coach my students, I try to make sure that they're able to completely do it on their own and they're able to apply it elsewhere. So that's why I like to push my students hard. I'm not sure if my students are watching the stream. I encourage them to come on to see the stream, but they know I like to push them hard, make them try to think a lot on their own. So that's more of my style as a coach, and I try to coach, not to teach, as you said. So now, when you define your role as a coach, I know you mentioned it before, what we just spoke about, but can you explicitly define for the students watching, what is your role as a coach?
Okay, here is my motto that is omnipresent, is all the time ready in the class, and that's my approach to learning chess. And anything, if I cannot claim I know anything better than chess, so I cannot. But if I teach anything, that this is my main motto. I am here to teach you how to fish on your own, not to give you a fish. So, meaning that if I teach you to go from point A to B, if I give you a fish every day, you have to come back to me next day and say, okay, I need more fish to feed
Mm,
myself. But if I teach you how to fish on your own, then then you can go out there and achieve anyways.
yeah.
And that's a great feeling. I know every student of mine who graduates, who stop working with me or they go their own path, I know they're going to succeed, and that's a great joy for me in my training. So when when I have the kids coming to the class or any participant in my class, I'm trying to make sure they get interested in the subject, and that's a very hard one because let's just put it in a very blunt way. Training chess is not easy. Not that it is hard because chess is hard. No, because training in anything to try to get good at something, there is no reward right away. Like for example, you can get good at chess by training, but until you go out there, play a tournament, and actually use your knowledge in a tournament, you cannot actually see the result. So you put many hours of training before even getting any result and getting anything. At least even in school, if you put time in your homework, you get an A for it or for your effort. Whereas in chess, It is hours of training before you get some really tangible outcome for it. So it is, you have to give a lot of credit to the person who actually shows up every time in the class and tries to get good at chess, and get them interested in the activity is very important, because it's not that easy to remain interested in a task that the reward is very marginal compared to the amount of effort you have to put in.
Yeah.
So it is very important to maintain the interest, and I would say the intellectual curiosity. That's my two-word winner in pursuing chess. To keep the heat up and just the interest up in that intellectual pursuit, because it is what it is. It is an intellectual pursuit, and if you sit otherwise, and if you just think about the result, the amount of effort and the result, it's not like school. It's not like anything else. It's like professional sport, and you cannot come. You cannot. You know that not every person in the class can be a professional chess player, because the amount of time you can put, not everyone has that kind of time to put into it. So, to be your independent thinker, and to remain curious about that intellectual pursuit.
Yeah, for sure. And when I play in tournaments, I know I had that good result on your team at the Team East tournament, but in
Yes.
general, from when I came back to chess till that point, I didn't have any sort of breakthrough. My rating maybe increased 100 points, but it's been very stagnant. But even despite that fact, I really appreciate the intellectual curiosity where I'm able to go into so many games, fight until the end, and maybe just about lose. Even though my rating is stagnant, I still really appreciate the intellectual curiosity and understand that maybe I won't get this reward. Like, it's very marginal in terms of the time I put in teaching and analyzing my games, but I still really appreciate that part about chess. I'm able to play a really beautiful intellectual game. And if that's the case, obviously I'm a bad loser. I don't like to lose. But at least while talking to you, I can appreciate the fact that I played a proper game, intellectual game, which is really worth analyzing. So that's what I really appreciate about the game. So now
Correct.
I want to get so yeah.
And sorry, Alan, I don't want to interrupt you. Just adding one more thing. Even I, being the coach, I'm still the student of the game. You can never leave that understanding of, oh, wait, now I'm the coach. Even if you're a coach, you still have to study for yourself. It's very humbling. Chess is a very humbling activity.
Yeah.
And once a student of chess, always a student of chess. To this day, if I don't improve my own chess, I cannot teach. I cannot become a better teacher. So it's an aggregate it's an aggregate effort of both coaches and students to make someone a better chess player.
All right. So for the next couple of minutes, I actually want to step away from the chess and I want to get to your role for what we call social empowerment, which you discussed social empowerment on your website. So on your website, you discuss how chess is a tool for social empowerment. And in fact, you taught students from Afghanistan who came to the United States after the Taliban took over the government to teach them English through chess. So as I'm playing this video right now that's posted on Twitter, NBC Nightly News, which you feature in, can you please elaborate?
Yes. So this was a very interesting one. It was in Raleigh. That's back in 2022. And I was approached by, at the time, the CEO of the USCF, Carol Myers, that there are these kids from Afghanistan. I speak Farsi, and they speak Farsi in Afghanistan, so that is we have in common. And yeah, they just came from Afghanistan, and Taliban took over, and their families were like engaged in the government, and they worked with the U.S. government at the time, so it was not safe for them, so they had to leave and take refuge, coming to the United States. And I said, sure, I would love to help with it. And I was like, okay, learning chess is one thing, but also having fun is another, because these kids are like in cultural shock. They just came to the United States, right? And speaking English is, understanding English is one thing, but connotations and all the meanings behind the culture behind speaking English is another thing as well too. And that's an experience I, as an immigrant, had myself had it as well, because I came to the United States. Obviously, I did okay on my tests. I got accepted into grad school. But when I was talking day to day and speaking English, it was like, oh, wait a second. There's certain things that I have to understand the connotations. This has a negative or positive connotation with it, and I have to kind of embrace these as everyday life as I learn and experienced it. So they come here, and this is what I love about chess. Chess is sort of an equalizer, Alan. When you come to the United States, if you are new, and not only that, if you are, let's say, not coming from a very privileged background, and your education hasn't been as good as you wanted, what it does for you, chess, is an equalizer. It creates an equal chance for everyone to enhance in something intellectual. It has a universal language. Everybody speaks the same language. The knights move the same everywhere in the world. The bishops, the pawns, everything, all the rules are the same. Everyone plays the same game. And it has a language into it. It has an intellectual language into it. The pursuit, the strategy, the tactics, all of that. But if you come to the United States, or you don't have the solid background in education, you cannot join the debate club. You definitely can join a chess club. And that's the beauty of chess being an equalizer. Creating a chance. And chance means hope, and hope means pursuit. Hope means effort. Hope means doing things on a grand scheme. And that's what we want for everyone. That is the social empowerment. That means everyone in the society can feel empowered to do things through chess, and chess gives them the kind of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I totally agree. So now this next question is important for me also. What do you think is the role of schools such as my school, International Chess Academy, and your school, Chess Evolve, in this movement of social empowerment?
Well, International Chess Academy has been around for quite a long time, and I appreciate all the efforts that have been put in there. And my academy is about 1 year old and we're new. But all academies, all efforts, all entities involved in chess in the United States, at least I can speak, is that by being supported by the chess community, we can give back, and we can create chances, as we said, about the social empowerment, creating a better environment and better chances for everyone to pursue chess and get better. Remember, as I said, in Iran, there was no coach, no program, nothing. I had whatever was there, I would go get. Even finding books was difficult. So imagine about the chances this can create for everyone. They have access to ICA, they have access to Chess Evolve, they have access to many other platforms. There's not chess.com, Chessable, all of that. It's the chance that chess as a social empowerment tool now has a lot of labyrinth to that, and it's a win-win with the chess community support for entities like ICA, Chess Evolve, I don't know, St. Louis Chess Club, whatever you want to mention. That all the entities involved with chess, we have a chance to give back. The chance for creating tournaments, to run math and chess activities, which I am big on, and that's for the future. I mean, not for now, but of course, I have some ideas about that in the future. And scholarships, events, opportunities for looking good on your resume. So when you want to go, I don't know, to college application or for school application or anything else, just creating a chance. So it's a, it's a, I call it give and take. It's just a win-win situation for all. So we want to create the environment, the chance for everyone, and the support of the chess community would empower us to do that in a better way.
Yeah. So a little off script before I continue this interview. Your answer actually made me think about the people that are underappreciated in the chess community, and that's tournament directors. I look at people like Noreen, Alessandro, Steven. Those are ICA tournament directors that direct in big tournaments like Team East Replayed, lots of Scholastic New Jersey tournaments. So I think when it comes to facilitating this community, people can get together, play chess at a community level. Those people really have to be thanked and appreciated more. So thank you to our tournament directors.
Yeah,
now,
let's try to take our hats off. Go ahead. Let's try to take our hats off.
My headphones are blocking my hat. My
Okay.
headphones are on top.
Okay. So I take my hats off to all the tournament directors and all the people who are involved in running this difficult task, not an easy one.
Yeah. And if I had my AirPods, I would take my hat off, but I have to do it for now figuratively. So now let's get back to the interview. So you were the coach of Iran's junior team back in 2011. In this role, describe the progression of your players, both as chess players and as people.
Okay, so that's an interesting one. That's the only time I I was involved in that role as with Iran because it was in I think October 2011, and I immigrated to the United States in January 2012, January 18th, 2012 to be precise. Um, so I had the four most hopeful players from Iran in that event, and my students ended up with the silver and bronze medal,
Mm.
and two of them finished on the fifth place, and they all have successful life. If I mention one by one, Puya Idani became a grandmaster. Obviously, I only coached him for 6 7 months. I cannot take all credits for all of his success. He later on became world champion under 18, and went on to studies medicine in Iran, but didn't pursue. And he's a professional chess player now, living in France with his family. And he's 2600 player. He won the Asian Games with Iran's team, which for me also was interesting because uh, the only medal in the Asian tournaments in Iran was won by me. Before that, back in 2000, not won by me as one of the members of the team that won the medal in 2006, bronze medal. So you feel that you kind of created a legacy that was pursued later on. Puya Idani was part of the team that won the gold medal. Now he lives in France. The two young ladies at the time, now they're all grown up ladies, Sarah Kadem and Dorsa Drakhshani. You know about Dorsa. She moved to the United States. She's now studying. She's in the middle school. She's studying dentistry, and she became an IM later on, and is now pursuing her education in the United States, quite successful. And the story about her leaving Iran was all international sensation. It was all around, and it was talked a lot about. That I'm sure you've heard of, at least, Alan. Have you, about Dorsa?
I actually haven't.
You haven't. Okay, yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
was because she played without hijab, and then she was banned from going back to Iran, and then she immigrated to the United States. Okay, Dorsa, yeah, she was on the team, and Sarah Kadem, she was she went on to cross 2500 FIDE, and was at some point top 10 in the world. She immigrated also to Spain. She won the bronze medal in that event, and I worked with her and Dorsa from 2008 and sorry 2009, and Sarah later on a little bit for a few years. She went on from being higher 2000 rated player to 2300, almost grandmaster level, and she went on to become an IM and so on, and almost 2500 FIDE. She lives in Spain now, and she won this women's championship in Spain. And the other two, the last one, Nima, she is now a PhD student became an IM, and is a PhD student in Singapore. So as you can hear, that it was quite a success story. I cannot take credit for all of that. I can take credit for the performance in the tournament, and I worked really hard to prepare them and help them do well. It's a pity they all didn't get medals because there are only three medals in each category. So they came very close, both Nima and Dorsa. But hey, we did what we could do, and they all went on to become successful kids. So that is the story behind 2011 World Youth in Brazil.
Hmm. So you are also the head coach of Papua New Guinea's team in 2018. Describe the connection you have with the country.
Well, the connection with the country goes back to the book. What was it called again? The book, okay, Guns, Germs, and Steel. I think it's a book by. It's an anthropology book by. I forgot the author. Guns, Germs, and Steel.
Jared Diamond?
Yes, yes, and that's I've heard about it, and then I was trying to get a job to be there, so that I could introduce my parents to someone, and then I was trying to be there. So when the opportunity introduced itself, I took it and I went to Georgia to coach the team, and we had a blast. All the members, we had a good time. They performed a little bit better than expected, and it was an interesting experience. They were not all kids. They were all like yeah, that's the book. Uh, Adults, and how to help them. Actually, um, somebody wrote later on about it, and one of the success story for our team was one of the players who, these are like older players, right? Adults. One of them went on to get FM title in the zonal tournament, and this story is about him actually. If I can share on chess.com, I shared it in the chat with you. If you want to share it with them, that I showed a trick, the opening trick to everyone, and it worked. And as it says in the story, it ran many laps and scored many points for our team, which ended up helping this guy Sean Press on the team to become a FIDE master.
All right, so I'm currently loading the link, but as I'm loading the link, I'm gonna ask you the next question, and once I get it to work, then I will share the screen again. So in 2022, you won the U.S. Open. From what I understand, your path to victory is not straightforward. You had several defeats in the same tournament in the years prior. So for me, the mentality, the mental aspect of chess, in my opinion, is just as important as anything on the board. Because things such as nerves, not necessarily trauma, but bad experience from past tournaments can affect the results in current and future tournaments. So describe how you're able to put those setbacks aside, reset your mind, and go on to win.
Well, U.S. Open. Um, I don't know. I don't. It may sound a bit of a show off, but I always say about being a grandmaster, being good at anything, is that you begin searching, you begin pursuing a chance when everybody else quits. So I cannot say I'm actually one of the top ones in that one because I haven't pursued chess as much in terms of a player as a lot of the other players have done. So I cannot just say that about myself. But I always try to learn and come back. That is absolutely that is an absolute fact about me. Um, so in the 2021 U.S. Open, I lost two games, including losing to one of my students, my first student in the United States, actually, and I ended up withdrawing after round seven. Um, so going to the 2022, I went back to my original plan, which I had discussed with Grandmaster Shabalov. So Grandmaster Shabalov told me to win U.S. Open, the formula is this: you play the nine rounds schedule, you make plans prior to that, eating good food and prep and rest the entire day, and played like some of the European tournaments, which are one game a day, which nowadays are less often than before. Now there are more double rounds than ever. But so I once my friend Daniel from Thinkers Publisher approached me and he said he wants to go for a one round a day tournament, for one round, pretty much 9 days scheduled tournament, and he's planning to go on site and do this in a few days early. I was like, sure, I'm going to play. I did my prep. I spent 7 days on 7 days on West Coast in Seattle and then in San Francisco with my friends just to get used to the time zone. And I did my chess prep and just chilled, get ready, and then I went to the tournament with Daniel. And I was careful about my time of sleep, my food, everything. And this time I stick to my regimen in everything. And went 6-0 against local opponents. Then I drew two GMs round 7 and 8, and the last round it was a crucial game against Grandmaster Ilya Nizhnik, against whom I have a bad result. Actually, up to that point, I'd never won a game against him. And well, he also needed the win. I was lucky about that because he needed to win a good prize money. And I finally got my shot when he tried too hard, and I found a very strong counterplay in time pressure and managed to win and tied for first and won the U.S. Open spot for the U.S. Championship 2022.
All right, so I was able to load the link. So can you guide me to what part you want me to go to?
If you scroll down all the way down, he explains the trick, and then that's Sean Press. Go up there. That's from Papua New Guinea. If you guys just scroll up a little bit, the guy here. That's Sean Press, FIDE master now, which he used a trick I taught the team of Papua New Guinea. If you scroll down, and you'll see me, he will have a photo of me. If you scroll down, that trick is explained there, and that's me.
There you go.
And that
All right.
explains that. Sean told him that the trick I showed that I've told him that, and he already had used the trick, but it has run many laps and it worked for the team. So the memory is that I showed the one pony trick but it ran many laps and it scored many points for the team and for Sean.
All right. So after we finish the stream, I will put the link to that, in addition to the link to the Twitter page of your experience teaching the Afghan students that moved to the U.S. I'll put both of them in the comments. But right now, let us get into the nitty-gritty, into the chess, which lots of people that may be interested in your class will definitely be curious about. So, for players who are only meeting you today for the first time, please explain your coaching philosophy.
I explain my coaching philosophy. So again, going back to that, it all starts with showing them how to fish on their own. In my coaching philosophy, I have a lot of focus on understanding concepts and trying to apply them, because openings, ideas, moves you can remember, you can forget, it can do anything to you. But if you think in a proper direction, the chances are, even if you're not making the best moves, the moves are optimal enough if you think in the right direction, that it still keeps you in the game. So always making healthy moves is very important. So I emphasize a lot on evaluation and how to use evaluation before delve into calculation. And that's the core of my uh, chess training in every aspect. Okay, I'll talk about prophylactics, comparison, evaluation, minor piece comparisons, weakest scores, all of those things people have heard. But the core and essence of it is that how to apply our understanding of the position to choose the proper candidate moves, that as we calculate through them, even if we don't do the best calculation, we still choose moves that keep our position healthy and keep us in the right direction in the game. Pretty much be a good practical problem solver.
All right. So my next question is, when I'm looking at your curriculums, which I will show later, it's a little bit of a pointed question. I noticed no explicit mention of tactics. Why is that?
Yes, because tactics is, again, like I said, I used the word earlier, is omnipresent, is everywhere. You cannot ditch tactic and say, I only think about my evaluation and then make a decision based on that. Sometimes you do, but even when you do that, that means you've done some calculation which is inconclusive, and now you just are trying to hedge your bet uh, on a move that was among those calculated moves. You're just not as sure, so that you use your intuition to choose that move. So calculation is always present in your work. You cannot detach calculation from your game. In fact, there was a conversation a few days ago about grandmasters, chess players, all of that, and they were talking about being good strategist chess players and generally chess players. And I said, no, we're great problem solvers. We are good at strategizing too, maybe better than average. But what stands out actually is that we can apply short-term tactics to a longer plan. So, for instance, you play Sicilian opposite side castle, and you know you have to attack on the queen side as black, and white attacks on the king side. Well, that's the general strategy. But we are good at, I'm talking chess players, I'm not talking about just grandmasters. We are good at juxtaposing few ideas, go about, execute a short-term plan, maybe get advantage, maybe get initiative, maybe get ahead just a little bit, and then go to the next phase of doing things. So piggybacking on the previous one. So it's a piggybacking of many tactics on the back of one each other. So going forward. So yes, short-term problem solving, because nobody can execute a plan of 20 moves nowadays. Not in life, not in chess. So it's a very important one. So tactic is just part of it. You cannot just do it separately. So it is embedded.
Yeah, again, I appreciate the references and the comparison between chess and life. And I guess one of the reasons why I always get myself into time pressure and the reason I crumble into time pressure, I even asked you on your own stream on Wednesday. I was the one that asked for people that are, like, if I'm bad under time pressure, how do I improve that? So I guess one of the reasons why I struggle is because every single move for me, from start to finish, is based on calculation rather than, I guess, evaluation. So in that case, I really see where you're coming from and how a lesson from you could benefit in terms of focusing more on evaluation rather than just calculation and tactics, because I guess that's just where my mind is geared towards. And again, the comparison versus chess and life, again, I see it. It's really important. I love the analogy where you can't calculate 20 moves ahead in life, which we always try to do, but there's so many twists and turns.
As they say, man plans, God laughs, huh?
Man plans, God laughs. I love it. All
Yeah.
right. So, up on the screen now, I have your curriculum for the future masterclass, which is 1200 plus. So,
Hmm.
walk us through what do you want your students to get out of this class?
So on my website, as you may have seen, I've talked about my method of nine imbalances, which is about evaluation, and the top four you've put there: opening principles and fundamentals. I call them the four golden rules of the opening and fundamentals of chess: king, safety, development, space, and center. And I replace initiative, which is a trade-off between time and material, instead of just putting material. And these are the very important ones for 1200 players, because they have problem coming out of opening into a healthy positions, and a lot of time they end up just memorizing a lot of moves, thinking that these are the moves they have to make without thinking about how to play their games. And I see they can grow up players to 1200 all the way to 1600, and then they play their games as sometimes I look at their games and I'm like, hey, you, what are you doing? I'm just making up a name, John, or I don't know, Alan. What is this? You're just doing your own thing, and your opponent's doing his own thing as well. And then it turns out that you're not paying attention to, I mean, you're just making your moves and your opponent is making their moves, then you're not really looking at the interactions between your ideas and the frictions it creates and the challenges. And I realized if you learn to think independently again, using these cues instead of just the moves you've been instructed to play, then you'll be able to show your opponent's mistakes during a game, and by doing so then you can get ahead from your competition. Then you can get to the 17 1800 level players, where you know how to, if your opponent weakens their structure, how to take advantage of that, and so many other aspects of opening features, which these four encompass. And the fundamentals middle game concepts: bishop pair advantage, you have to know how to play open positions with bishop pair. Good knight versus bad bishop, you have to be able to compare your minor pieces. And weakest scores and outposts is pretty much targeting. And important end games, I didn't want to use the word fundamental because I may or may not use fundamental positions, but what I want to show them is that uh, if you think about it, in the rook end games there are many positions that are not exactly Philidor positions, but they can transpose, or they don't transpose, but they can be different version of it. So there are all kinds of tricks involved in it.
Hmm. So, so now I'm going to ask you the exact same question, but this time for the masterclass, which is 1600 plus. Again, what do you want your students to get out of the class?
So I'll start with evaluation. I'll discuss that. I'll show them examples of it, and using my nine balances. Of course, not all of it in one class, but to the best, to the extent of which I can share that with them. Then I tell them how to apply that to their calculation, and because a lot of time people calculate the right line, but they fail to see if the outcome of their calculation is good for them or not. So they have to learn to see that in their head, and not only visualizing the final position, but understand, being able to evaluate that final position if that's good for them or not. Then prophylactic thinking, and prophylactic thinking, I mean, we know, of course, from the Dvorsky, but all along, that's the foundation of playing good chess. That you deny your opponents from doing what they want to do, and enabling yourself to do is achieving a few things along the way. Because of the zero sum nature of the chess, if you can do something, that means your opponent cannot do something. So that's the zero sum nature of the game is being discussed there. Then process of elimination. That is pretty much just for your confidence. Not just that, of course, it's a form of calculation. Um, process of elimination is that it's a math concept. This is in set theory, Alan. If you cannot find A, if you find A prime and deduct it from the universal set, then you find A, right?
Yeah.
So here is that we find A prime, and once we find A prime, that means that we have all the bad moves. That what's left are the good moves. So comparison, you want to execute plan A or plan B. Plan A, you know you want to execute plan A, but you have two options to do that: rook A d1 or rook F d1. Which rook? So that's where it is. Brute force is visualization, pretty much. You want to see that. That's where you get the most of the tactics done, pretty much, on the brute
Hmm.
force. Simple chess. Okay, that's the part that it gets funny, because in simple chess, uh, people say, "Oh, but that's boring. Why should I make this move? The position is balanced. I want to create imbalance. I want to make my opponent make a mistake." But I will show a lot of my games that I make simple moves, and I think you watched some of one of my games that went to the end game. I won the game, Alan. If I don't know if you watched it on my Wednesday show, my Wednesday seminar, where
That's right.
where it was a very simple end game, and I gradually just exerted pressure, and my opponent just succumbed to the pressure. So the art of learning to make good moves without thinking about the outcome, and you just gradually improving your position, taking away your opponent's play, and at the end you end up with a better position. Rook endings, it is self-explanatory, and defensive mechanisms just you have to learn that sometimes you're worse and you have to play for a draw. That's something that people don't learn for a long time. I know 20 to 2300 players, they don't know how to defend their positions. That's so surprising. So the earlier you learn it, the better. You just learn the mindset that when it's time to defend the position.
All right. So thank you so much for that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to load a game that I've played in the competition that I spoke about, the USATE US Amateur Team East Tournament. This is a tournament in which again, I played in the first round as an alternate on the same team as Elshan, and I think it was a pretty good game. So I'm just currently loading it up, and I'm going to share my screen because it's on a different tab. So let me present, share screen. Is it this one? That's this one.
I just cannot make a move. Can you make it possible for me to make the move?
Thought I let you know. I thought I gave you permission to. You can't move on here.
I am in here, but
yeah, we're in classroom, and I gave you permission.
Yeah, I see the game, but it doesn't let me to make a move.
All right. What if I send you the PGN right now, and you can load it up in your own game?
So let me leave and join again. Maybe this works. Can you let me just see.
All right, Elshan, join again.
Can you give me the link to? Okay, I have to go to learn, and you said what, lessons or no, analysis?
Learn classroom.
Classroom.
Yeah.
It says you have to give me the room ID.
All right, I'll just kick you out, and I'll let you join again.
Okay, now I see it.
All right, and now, all right, make a move.
Okay, now it works. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, let's do
Perfect. Let's do it.
So here's the question number one for you, Alan. Do you play e4 against c6, or what's? I think, are you generally an e4 player or a d4 player?
So, honestly, I like both e4 and d4. I've been becoming more of a d4 player lately, but all my life I've been playing e4 until recently I discovered d4. But yeah, I'm somewhat comfortable with both. I can be better in both. I like both.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I would say stick to one in general, but okay, you play this system. E5 and okay, advanced. I like advanced. It's a good system. You can grab space. I like that. Bishop f5, knight f3, e6, bishop d3. So why, Alan, I don't like this move, bishop d3?
When I played bishop d3 right away, you don't like it?
Yeah, I don't like the move bishop d3. Why do you think I don't like the move bishop
d3? So let's see, bishop d3. So
you see, in French defense, let's make some moves. Do you see my moves?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, and everyone sees it.
This bishop cannot get to f5, right?
Yeah.
So now we have the same in the actual game. In the actual game, we have the same structure. His bishop is out, and you're trading his bad bishop, pretty much his bad French bishop. That's why you're better off to move bishop e2. and then you want a castle, and then you want to attack this bishop later.
Ah, all right.
With like moves like, for example, knight to, like you want a castle,
Yeah. Then something like
knight
knight
e1,
h4 after.
and then
Not right now, but eventually. Yeah.
eventually,
g4.
yeah, maybe. So that's why I don't like bishop d3. So, but bishop d3 was played. Okay, knight e7, bishop g5, queen b6. I have no problem with move b3. Maybe you don't need that move, but that's okay. h5, take on e7. Do I like that move, bishop takes e7, you think?
So I don't think you would, because my bishop does seem pretty strong here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at the same time, I believed that his knight did have more potential to get stronger,
Yeah, he wants
especially
to go.
when they would go to f5.
Maybe this is an option. I don't know if this is a good move or not. Probably not a good move, because he can go c5 and attack your center. But just castle first would have been nicer. But because bishop e7, yeah, you don't get much. But okay, castle. He plays c5. Okay, now you should have advantage. If you look at my under 1200, sorry, not under 1200 plus curriculum, you would understand why you have advantage, maybe. And the engine may disagree, but that doesn't matter. What matters is what's our understanding of the position. Um, Here again, you shouldn't play that. I think you should castle first. But even here, you are slightly better. But this move is not a good move. No, this is not a good move. What's the better move to play here?
So a better move to play. Do I go now for the c4 break, or knight bd2?
Okay. Look at the curriculum.
Look at the curriculum. I
Yes.
X'd out of the curriculum.
What are the four things? Development is very important. You have to open the game with a move c4. Capture, 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 and now you have space to play. You are a little bit ahead in development. You are the first one to come along here. Oh, sorry, I meant to e4. So you see, because he has to lose one tempo, it's gonna be very hard for your opponent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you played knight c3. And I don't like this move either. He's not castled, right? That means that having the queens on the board presents your opponent with some difficulty, right?
Hmm.
So it's better to not do that. Maybe play knight b5 right away.
And then from knight b5. So knight b5, and then
Like, for example,
in
if
the
you take
future,
here,
what?
and then here with the idea of playing c4, maybe your queen can always come over here, or coming to c1 and coming to d1, trying to open the game.
Hmm.
You see, when in castles, the presence of your queen makes life difficult for your opponent. What was the question again?
So you mentioned knight b5 right away. So so if I were to go knight b5, what would be the future for that knight? Where would it go after? And
Makes
then
sense?
if you were to defend it, perhaps with a bishop.
With the bishop, then maybe we have moves like this.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, your opponent starts to feel the heat that, oh, he's not castled. Because if he goes here, then you have 96 check, right?
Yeah. And then takes. And then, yeah,
He
I can
has to go
take the pawn.
a6 here, and then you can maybe take here, knight c6, then you take on c6, or again, play rook c1 with c4. You have to open the game, because he's got a solid center. You have to challenge that center.
Ah.
So, knight c3 was played. Now he's got pressure on your opponent's c2. He's making good moves, your opponent. I think you should try to play moves like a4, a5, a little bit pushing this knight away and making some weaknesses here. Bishop c5, c3, there, f4. Maybe f3 would have been nicer, because then you can maybe take and then, oops, sorry. Maybe take and then opening this rook, huh?
I was thinking more like f4, f5, and open the rook that way.
Well, but that costs you tempo, right? You took.
And this is actually what happened in the game. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, there. Now you're in a good shape. Now you're in a good shape. F5. And maybe a bit hasty. Maybe just rook C1, capture, and G3. Then you have to find a way to place this knight over here. For example, maybe to play maybe like this. Maybe go rook E1. There, knight E1, knight here, 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 and here. And then you can go from there to this is square or this is square, huh?
Yeah, those are good apples, especially E5.
Yeah, but instead you just went head on with this. I also understand you were trying to make it draw because oh, and then you blundered here. I think if you just go here, there's no way for your opponent to play for a win.
So
He doesn't have any breakthrough. You can place the king over here and then play your maneuver over here. But then I think you knew that you are getting close to a draw against the higher rated opponent, so that's where you went wrong, and you gave his king a lot of activity. In the end game, especially knight end games, are like pawn end games. That's what Vinnick said. And in this kind of cases, it's very important for you to get your king active, and your king is not active now. So then you are in some trouble because I want to get to your glory moment. So I want to go a bit faster here. This, and this is completely winning for your opponent, I think, at this point.
yeah.
King here, over here, knight check, king f2, there, capture, capture, g5. And here, did you check this with the engine?
So I did check it with the engine. There was a point. I think once the king started going for the pawns, at that point it was a dead draw.
Yes, but this very position is winning, right?
Let me just turn on the evaluation. Yes, right now black is winning, clearly.
Yes, black is clearly winning. And then he goes there. Yeah, this is the wrong plan. He needs to use his king. He needs to use his king to do this. Like he tried to stop the pawn. Instead, he goes for a counter, and then
And now it's a dead draw.
now it's a draw. Now you play all correct, and then it's at one tempo. I like that because he cannot play a4 here because you actually win, and you promote with a check.
Yeah.
That wins the game for you.
Yeah.
So. And then I could see the thrill on your face that this saves the day for us because you knew you got a draw, and now if he goes knight h6, you just go king here, and then that's going to be just a draw. And that was a great save. What was your opponent's rating in this game?
I think 1700.
And that's like 400 points above you, right?
350 about, but yeah, close enough.
Yeah, that's a very great save. And there was a lot of lessons in this one. Trading the bishop wasn't good. You had to not trade the queens as well. Pawn structure, because you're in a bad pawn structure, your c pawn was weak and you had pressure along the c file. But all along, what matters is that you try to make healthy moves, and that matters a lot. And I really like that about the way you play the game. And you fought till the end. You realize that you cannot quit on your g pawn, and then the moment he gave you the chance, you found the counterplay, and you did quite well.
Yeah,
So,
I
guys,
think
hats off to Alan. He saved the day for the team because round one we didn't have our board three, one of the strongest players on our team. So we ended up our team with 3 wins and 3 draws, not losing a single match. And given that one of our players wasn't at his best, we did pretty good overall. So we didn't consider team loss, which was important. When we played some over 100 points stronger teams than ourselves, so that was quite an achievement for our team.
right.
All right. Anything else, Alan?
So anything else? So before we go, I want to give a moment for the audience. If you have, I want to give you guys a moment to ask Elshan any questions you might have about anything. So keep in mind, there is a 10-second delay in the stream. So let's give it some time to see if they do have any questions for us. All right. Anyone? Any questions? Any questions for Elshan? All right, we have a question. I'm actually surprised they have a question, but now we have two questions. Let's start with the first one. What is a good black opening against 1d4 that takes white out of theory? I'll answer that myself. The Benoni. I love the Benoni.
Well, actually, that game I covered, I would call it Malakhov drift system, G6 E6, and sometimes we go to hippopotamus, or sometimes we play knight E7 D5 with black. Bishop goes to G7, knight E7 D5. That is the one that gets really black out of the theory. And Thinker's Publisher has a book by Grandmaster Ipatov, who covered that opening in his book. So the opening is wrong if your opponent knows what they're doing, but for the most part, people don't study that opening, and it gets quite interesting. Okay, that's question number one.
Question number two. Should I study opening, tactic, or endgame?
You should study all of them, but it depends on your rating. But if you are less than 1600, you should study tactics and endgame.
All right, we now have a question from one of our players who was at a tournament today, Shubert Shibarashka or Ito. Ito asks, how many Sicilian variations should I learn to keep my opponent from having good preparation?
Depends on the Sicilian you play. If you're studying Najdorf, you have to study all of the Najdorf. If you're playing Taimanov, you have to know the opposite side castling really well. Other than that, that's what this for Taimanov. If you want to minimize your effort, I wouldn't know what to say, but stay away from Richter Rauser. You cannot play Richter Rauser unless you have a deep understanding of the opening. It's quite a risky opening.
So Ito then followed up to by saying, we're getting so many questions, I can't click. Ito said, I'm 1830, I played Taimanov Sicilian, I'm learning Schweningen.
Scheveningen, yes.
Scheveningen.
No, it's not Scheveningen. I think it's Scheveningen because it's a Dutch place. That's perfect. I think he's doing the right thing. I think for his rating, that's a good opening. Just learn the opposite side castling really well, and also the Tal's idea with f4, bishop e3, f4, queen f3. That one too.
All right, we now have a question about the class, which I just got a text from Diana saying, do not miss it. So I'm not going to miss it right now. Question about the 1600 plus class. Is it suitable for students over 1850, or will everyone be 1600 and 1700? So I'll let Elshan answer, but I'll answer myself first. So it is definitely suitable for students over 1850. With our current master class right now, with Irina Levitin and Alex Strapunski, our two grandmasters, lots of our students are actually in the 1800, 1900 range. So it is most definitely suitable for students over 1850 in that range. So Elshan, you want to add?
I would say up to 2000 they can benefit from this class. It's a challenging class, so up to 2000. Probably over 2000 it's getting not as challenging for them, but up to 2000 they should be fine.
All right. Now I have a little bit of a funny question. If you have failed to ladder mate someone, what strategy would you really recommend?
Learn the ladder mate.
I agree. Learn to ladder mate. Don't blunder your pieces, because if you're in ladder mate, it means you're down material. All right. Next one. Elshan, what is your favorite opening?
I'm a GM. I am working with people of different level. I have to know every opening. I love all of them. But if I play well, I like to play e4. I like my opponent play Sicilian. I like to play opposite side castling if I can.
All right. So we don't have any more questions. I'll give it another 20 more seconds because of stream delay. Stream delay is 10 seconds plus 10 seconds for people to formulate their questions. So I'll give 20 seconds, and if we don't have any questions, we'll wrap it up.
Okay. And
Do you like the London?
no, I don't like London, but played. It's an efficient opening. I hate London, but played. That's okay. I teach my students to play London too, but I hate it.
You know, I've been to England, I've been to London, I stayed there for 3 weeks. I love the city. It's a beautiful city. As for the opening, there was a time when I played it, and now I play a strange variation, which all high rated players love to make fun of me. But I like the London, and I love the city. All right, so I think this is good for questions. We're at the hour mark. So, Elshan, do you have any final thoughts before I give mine?
I'm looking forward to see everyone in the classroom. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and I hope that people come with open mind to be challenged and be open to work hard, because work hard always pays off. And I hope they are gonna have fun, those who are joining the classes. And otherwise, they can find me through the ICA, or they can contact me at chess@gmelshan.com, which I'll be happy to get back to them on their questions.
Yeah. So I'll give my closing thoughts, but first, you actually got one more question. What is the biggest tournament you have participated in?
I played in the World Cup twice.
All right. So now my closing thoughts. So I met Elshan at Team East. I had a dinner with him, so I spoke with him before, and then I went to your seminar on Wednesday. But I think today, what I really liked about my conversation with you was not just hearing the chess about you, because the chess is at the very end, you giving me lots of constructive criticism for my game, but more about the human side and what we call social empowerment, how you've used your position as a grandmaster, as a really strong player, to help others in need. So I think that for me is really important, how you're able to constantly connect chess and your background in chess to life. And I think that whoever does come to your class, which I hope will be lots of people after this interview, they'll be able to see not just as a strong chess player, but as a human and as a coach that can help them in chess and in other aspects of life as well.
I hope so too. Thanks, Alan, for the kind words, and I hope that will be what they take from the class, not just chess lessons, but life lessons and things that they make them feel better about themselves and their chess at the same time.
All right. So I will see you soon. Thank you so much.
See everyone on Thursday. Thank you.